Ladies and gentlemen, if there was ever a time to put on the clown makeup, it is right now. Look, Spyro 4 is something that I think many of us want, okay? The time has come to bring Spyro back. It very much seems, you can see even the color blend behind me, right? When Toys for Bob separated from Activision, from Xbox, but then they kind of reversed course. I mean, they're still independent. I actually love that for them. I think that's the best idea that they could do, but they're also working with Xbox on their next game, right? So it's like, all right, now you can kind of start going through the franchises and say what lines up with Toys for Bob. There's only a couple, and Crash, of course, Spyro, the coloring. You just did a bunch of Crash games, and seemingly the desire to do Crash is dead from Activision and those kind of people. So Spyro has always seemed very, very likely, right? Now, again, like when I'm asked, and I am asked actually quite often, do you think now is the time to see Spyro? I always answer no, simply because it really has not been that long. You know, they've only been independent, I think, for a year or so. And, you know, if you think about it, Crash Team Rumble, I think, came out 2 years ago. So it's not that long that they've been working on their next game. They couldn't have been working on it for more than a year and a half if you want to be really generous. So if Spyro 4 is really coming, and we'll talk about the rumor in a second, I really don't think it's going to be anything substantial in terms of like a reveal. I mean, and what I mean by that is maybe you just do a CG trailer, you do the logo Spyro 4, you give it a subtitle, you know, whatever. But that's kind of it. You know, I really don't know how in detail or in depth a trailer can be, right? And then as for like a release, I mean, I don't even think you put a year on it, right? Because most likely you're probably looking at 2027 if. I mean, that's probably best case scenario. So we go back to an insider we talk a lot about and gives a lot of information. Not a very well-liked person, at least in the Reddit gaming leaks and rumors, you know, subreddit of Reddit. Not very liked there. The person does get some stuff right. We're talking about, of course, Xtis1S. This is a guy, again, I mean, he kind of has like a back and forth opinion on social media. Some people claim that he takes from other people. Believe what you want, and honestly, that's okay. Like, you don't have to believe that this is real or not real. Do whatever you want. But I will say, that's why I started the way that I did. Put the clown makeup on, right? And if you want to believe it, great. If not, no biggie. He says that Spyro 4 is going to be shown at the Xbox event. In fact, he doubles down and says, and it's going to be Spyro, and then it's also going to be Double Fine's next project. Now, that one makes a lot of sense, I feel. I think it's enough time has passed that Double Fine should show what's next. And then he says that they're both going to be on Game Pass, but they will also both release on PS5. Now, the PS5 thing, by the way, interesting because it's crazy, okay? I'm not saying that this is normal. We're almost to the end of the console generation, and we got like 2.5 years until the next generation of consoles. Too early. I can go through a whole thing on that. We'll save that for a different video. By saying PS5, you're kind of implying one of a couple different things, right? One is that it comes out before next-gen consoles comes out. So it's coming out within, like, say, 2 years from now. Possible, although then they're going to have to make a game in about 3 years, which, you know, back in the day, 15 years ago, yeah, you'd be able to make a game 3 years. Nowadays, that doesn't seem possible, okay? That's the first possibility. Second possibility is it comes out 2027, even 2028, and it's backwards compatible, right? It comes out on PS6 and the next Xbox, and it also works on PS5 and Series X. That one seems more likely because then you give it another year. Now you're talking about almost 4 years, and it's not just on PS5 and Xbox Series X, but it's on the next thing as well. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. But again, you're jumping 2 to 3 years. So if this thing really is going to be shown, I mean, you know, I'm not a huge fan of showing games like 3 years before they come out. We are still doing this with, like, Bond finally fixed itself, right? But that was almost 5 years in the making. Bond was announced, I think, September of 2020, okay? 5 years. Tomb Raider, I think, is 4+ years. BioShock, I think, is 6 or 7 years. You can go to the, you know, Beyond Good and Evil. Wonder Woman, of course, was an example until it got canceled. Wolverine is about to hit 4 years this fall. I don't like it. I don't like games being announced so early. At the same time, Spyro is an interesting franchise, right? Where it's like, if you're giving me hope, and if you're quite literally just telling me that a game exists and that it's coming, and I mean, yeah, it could take 3 years, but you're giving people what they want in a sense. Maybe I'll tone it down. I won't hate it. And I mean, honestly, if you show a game that's 3 years out, I'm still gonna get excited to a degree. It's just my excitement can only get so high. I can only get so excited about a game that's 3 years out. There's a lot of life to live, until that happens. But for a franchise that's plagued like Spyro is, I can get it. I can understand, like, just showing the logo, showing the title, whatever, like that's enough, right, to get people like, all right, I'll give you 3 years, just please get it out in 3 or less years. So hey, I'll be watching the Xbox show. I'll be co-streaming it. If you guys want to watch it along with me, we'll see together if Spyro 4 is there. Let me know what you think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.